Hello, my name is Brandy Hofer, your host and founder of Color Me Happy, a community podcast and book, all of which I started in my in-home studio whilst in the throes of motherhood. I am an artist, author, educator, and mother to 3 beautiful boys. We live and create together in our in-home studio that is tucked away in the quiet Canadian prairies. Our podcast and community was built to empower and inspire. We chat about everything from motherhood, the art world, business, and health in the most honest and authentic way. It's totally unedited and unfiltered. If you love what we do here, become a part of our free community, Color Me Happy. We have grown the community to support our members with features and interviews. Our link is in the notes. Thank you for being here. I sure do appreciate your time. Welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a little rusty in the not New Year yet. I'm a little rusty coming off of Christmas here. I am on my second recording. Rebekah is our guest today. This is a really good chat. We talked about overcoming imposter syndromes, shedding mom guilt, reclaiming passion, and coexisting between motherhood and a career, and then playing off one another, and coexisting as opposed to clashing together in a really unfun way. So it was a really good talk. I never know or quite remember what I talk about with a lot of people because this was recorded some time ago. And thank you, Rebekah, for coming on and sharing that. She's got a lot of fun Insta videos, so check her out at Sunshine Laurel Art. We also have some really great stuff happening. The website is up. It's like a soft launch because I went there this morning. I was like, oh, cool. There's no artwork up. There's artwork with the titles and the prices, but no pictures. So I don't think anyone's going to purchase these. So it's a soft launch, but the classes are going. So if you're into wanting to do portraiture or large-scale portraiture, get creative with your kids and step into your new year and challenge yourself in that way. We've also got an upcoming new class, and we're collaborating with Shannon and Amy Art on diversifying income. So if you're setting some really big income goals, which I highly advise manifesting because it's how I started my career expanded, and I'm actually making the income for the first time, which was my very biggest goal, which I was like, if I reach this, like, I don't even know how I did. I surpassed it. I did it. I'm very proud. So I surpassed that big goal. So make these goals. And so we're releasing a new class in the next couple of weeks. And it's not just like make more money. It's like who you have to be to get there, which all my classes are. They're really genuine. They're really like, you should probably get lots of sleep. Or you're not going to be good at anything, really. I have a lot of time. I'm like right now, like I have to do the podcast for the week, obviously, but really in depth in that class. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger because I'm like, oh, I just want it to be like a small little short class, really fun, easy. And I'm just like, but I also have more information that they should have on manifesting. So I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to launch, especially because Shannon is a really great coach, and she's got a big mentorship community, which who really appreciate what she has to say and what she has to offer, and she has got great content. So I'm very excited. If you're interested in that, you can just send me a message at Brandy Hofer Studios on Insta, and I will get you into the waiting list for that. I've never done a waiting list before, but because I'm so excited about this class and it worked, like we figured out ways to make it work, because I remember making minus $1,000 as an artist, and that really fucking sucked. And it makes you feel really unworthy of your craft. Not that like that should be your only goal. However, it was my goal. I wanted a sustainable career to support myself and my family and not only that, but build a community and to help other artists grow as well. So now I feel like I've gotten to a place where I have a lot to share about that journey, and how I went from making one minus 1,000 to well over six figures in a real, authentic, like this is not a catch way that will work for you. So yeah, I'm really pumped about that. I'm pumped about the new site because it looks good. But I'll stop talking about me. I want you to get into this. This is about you. The year is your freaking oyster, and you should be excited. Again, take a walk, relax, recoup after Christmas, and I'm sure you'll have to recoup again after the new year. And take time for you. That is step one. And I really appreciate you being here. Feel free to join our Color Me Happy community. It is free, and feel free to share in there. If you have any questions, reach out anytime. And if you'd like our weekly inspiration, just sign up at brandyhofer.ca. Check out that new site, brandyhofer.ca. It's pretty cool. Been working on it for a flippin' year. So besides the artwork not showing up, most of the other stuff is. So check that out. And thanks again for being here. Such an important step. And then thank you for putting aside time aside to chat here today. I'm very happy to meet you. I actually connected because I really love your content and your videos. Very funny.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy putting those together. They're just fun for me. So
yeah. So you are a mother of two and balancing an art career.
yes, I am. I have a little boy who's 3 and a little girl who's 1. So they keep me busy.
You're in the sure. Thing.
Yes.
That's like
the littles.
Yeah, that's like the hardest time. But I feel like at that point, it's like you're clinging on to every sense of who you are at the same time. You're like, oh, I just like you need the art.
Yes, I agree. There's just a shift in your identity, when you become a mom, which is a beautiful thing, but also sometimes you feel like you're losing a lot of parts of yourself, that you used to have. So for me, art has been just that reclaiming of my personality, my passions, and kind of finding that how can they coexist instead of be so at odds, So
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's like the whole thing. It's like and me being a part of the art world for so long, it's like we're not allowed to show those parts of ourselves. That's what it felt like. Anyway, I feel it shifting, which is really positive.
Yeah. Yeah, there's kind of a sense of, at least within other artists that I've spoken to, there's sometimes a mom guilt that's associated with making time to create. And I don't know, I just think that's an unhealthy way to look at it, because creativity in my eyes it inspires motherhood, and motherhood inspires creativity. They should be a cohesive thing that build each other up, instead of this I have to choose one or the other type of an attitude,
I remember when that shift actually happened for myself, like with my first Gus. I remember talking about this, like the Me Too movement had started, and I was like, I feel so passionate about this movement and what's going on right now. And then, but I was also just like in the throes of motherhood. And I'm like, that's just not where I'm at right now. And instead, I made a 44-piece collection that like traveled across the country to 3 places of like the beauty of me creating. Or no, that must have been my second child. Sorry, it gets all blurry.
Yeah, it does.
So I made it with my first, and I had my second child. That's right.
Gotcha.
And it was more powerful and more me and more about that connection of.
Mm-hmm.
And so many, like we had 115 people at one opening, and it was families. It wasn't like your typical opening. Like littles were invited, and it was the most beautiful thing. Chaotic.
In some ways we just have to embrace that chaos, because I don't know how to be an artist and a mom without that aspect of it, because if you are a perfectionist and there's this like, you have to have things this perfect way, it never happens. Like every day is a mess most of the time, and you make time for the art, and it sometimes is, this tiny little tidbit of time, and other times you just get that long, awesome, deep time with your art. And yeah, it's just kind of expecting the unexpected, embracing the chaos of all of it, and just really trying to find beauty in that instead of becoming so stressed out and, needing it to be as structured as maybe it was before kiddos.
Yes, we definitely don't have those like long 4-hour stretches of time,
Uh,
right?
they're rare for sure.
Yeah.
So
I remember like just like I couldn't wait. Well, remember, I still feel this way. Like I'm like, I can't wait till I can get them to bed so I can go paint, because everyone's like, oh, it looks like she just does it with them there all day. And that's just not realistic at
no,
all.
yeah, there's times when I'll
Right.
invite my toddler in to paint with me or just watch me paint, but that, no, like it's mostly, when you really need to get the work done. It's nap time for me or after bedtime. Because yeah, they
Mhm.
just want to get their hands in all of it. It's too appealing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like it's
Yeah,
like, woo, let's dump this whole everything mom has in this bucket. Every container, we must squish all the paint out.
exactly.
It's like an
Immediately.
expensive afternoon,
Yeah,
really.
it is. So it can't happen all the time. We try to make it them included, but yeah, it's every now and then for sure. But
Yes, totally. And there are certain things that like they can do, and of course like if you're like working on like tiny little like you need to focus. You need to
yep,
focus.
yep.
Uh and do you want to talk about that routine for you? Like it's one of my top questions actually from when I'm in like motivational talks and whatever, or a group asks me to speak, and it's one of the top things people are curious about, how we fit it in and like where it fits into routine. How does that work for you?
Yeah, so kind of like I mentioned, it really has been nap time. I'm at a sweet spot right now with both my kids napping a little after lunch, and they nap for, like 2 hours usually, which is awesome. I know that won't last forever with my oldest getting a little older, but right now I'm able to get a good chunk of stuff done, whether that's my marketing on Instagram or just dedicated time to paint. Um, and then after nap or after bedtime, my husband, if he's at work or if he's doing something else, I'll just kind of commit the time in the evening as well. So yeah, those are the windows that I have. So I just make the most
For
of it.
now.
Yeah, for now. That will be ever shifting and ever evolving. And that's really the story of my whole art journey as a mom as well. It's always changing. You make time for it because you make time for what matters to you. And the blocks of day that you can commit to that is kind of shifting. But right now that's how it looks. And yeah, it's more about, a lot of times my friends will ask me, how do you have the time to do it? And like I said, it's not necessarily that I have all this extra time that I'm like, oh, let me just go paint. It's really being intentional about, um, this is a window that I have, and instead of choosing to like scroll on my phone, which sometimes can be so tempting, to just put the phone down and just say, nope, like I know that this fills me up. I love this. When I'm done, I'm going to feel so much better because I'm using that muscle. I'm using that thing that God has given me, that passion, that, all of the things that artists totally relate to. When we're doing our craft, there's just such a renewing feeling, and that's life-giving, and it's a gift. So you have to just intentionally make time for it, even though it's not easy every day. And sometimes you don't even feel like painting, but sometimes you have to just say, like, I know this is what I love. I know that's what the best decision for this chunk of time is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it only takes like 5 or 10 minutes to like get into that, right? Like it's just consistently showing up for yourself. And there is something magic, and it is a gift, and it is therapeutic. But also like I'm totally obsessed. And I remember being more obsessed in the harder, younger stages of their lives with like just the act of painting. And I think your body's like, this feels so good for me. And
Yeah.
it is a good thing for you at that, really crazy stage where you're like completely exhausted. And
No.
the thing about it is when you're like when your job is your passion and it's hard work, the hard work isn't hard work because of the love,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I want that for so many people. I wish that
Yeah.
was the same case for so many.
Yeah, and I just, especially within like other moms, I feel passionate about just encouraging other moms to give themselves permission to take that time for creativity. And maybe somebody listening to this is like, well, I'm not a creative. I don't, they think of Pinterest crafting or something like that. And, I'm not that mom. But really, I think all of us have, whatever it may look like for you, a different facet of creativity, whether that's baking or writing or knitting. Those things are using that same part of your brain. And it's, I don't know, we talk about being good stewards of our, working out, being good stewards of our money, but what about being good stewards of the gifts that we have, the passions that we have, and making sure we're allowing ourselves to press into those things and really fulfill those things. So, I mean, I just love encouraging other moms because it seems like we're all in this battle of like motherhood, and then some of the things that are part of our identity that we just say, well, I guess that has to be on hold until they move out, and I just think that's unhealthy because yeah, like we're a multifaceted person, we have multi-passion, we're multi-passionate, most of us. So it's not just locking in on one part of us and just saying, well, this is it for me, like find the way, find the time, even if it's messy, even if it's little tiny steps. Our journey is going to be slower maybe because we do have more responsibilities. And for me, my motherhood does come first, but that's not where it ends, and I love being able to kind of just give permission to moms to say yes, like do those things. It's not selfish to like allow yourself to be creative, and it fills you up, and then you're just those beautiful things that come from being a creative pour over into your family life, and you're showing your kiddos how to be creative. How does that, you want your kid to be creative, you're emulating that to them.
Yes, through example, and not only for your family, but other parents too, that
Yeah.
you're giving them permission through inspiring them by following your path and your journey. Um, and like coming from like a first world country, obviously we benefit
Mm.
from the ability to have a choice, and so many people don't have the choice just because of the way their society works, or stereotypes, which we still we still in North America with that like struggle with that stereotype of like starving artist and it's not a real career
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I feel like it's still a worldwide battle for creatives, but
Uh-huh.
now like it's just there are more opportunities for you to thrive in
Definitely.
creative spaces.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to say and talk about these things and tell like give people permission,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Well, and we're in a, thankfully, like you said, we're blessed as this in this society to have the ability to have creativity part of our life. We're not in just that survival mode or, where we can't thrive, like, and have those, pleasures of creating and that kind of stuff. And that's awesome. And like you said, mentioning the starving artist stereotype, it's just, I think that is shifting because when you look around, there is art everywhere, and we are contributing beauty to the world, and that's a huge thing. And nowadays, when we have social media and everything, I know that social media has good and bad sides to it, but for artists, it's a huge blessing to be able to say, hey, like I can have so many eyes on my art. I don't have to just rely on putting it up in a gallery hoping that somebody happens to walk by and connect with my work. You're able to get so many eyes just, by posting your process and inviting people along on your art journey. And I mean, I try to just stay in a positive mindset with that, because that's never been the case for artists historically.
It's an invaluable tool.
It is.
Yeah. And um I feel like even in like as a privileged person, like I still have to fight for so many things. Like I still have to fight for my time and like the legitimacy of my business. And like someone said to me, well, I've had a lot of things said to me, but which I won't bring up because it's a lot of negativity, but
Yeah.
and I do get passionate about, and I'm glad they did say them because it fuels my fire to like keep going.
Okay.
And it gives me more incentive, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, well, you're not really a business because like you don't have a physical like space like in like a downtown or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not a business? What? Like
That
what do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't
Like
think things have shifted so much. Like there's not this cookie cutter one way that a business looks anymore. And there's so many things since COVID and everything that has shifted to people just can work from home. They have that freedom. And yeah, like there's doesn't mean there's not, validity to those businesses for sure. That's just kind of silly, but
yeah, I know. It's which I like at that point I was like, everyone was very panicking because they're like working from home with their kids. And I'm just like sitting here, I was like, this is what I've been doing the whole time.
this is
Yes.
normal.
It was validation for me. I was like, everyone else is experiencing this shitstorm that I experience every day trying to run my business from my home
Right.
with
And balancing
3
that.
kids.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was just like a moment of, oh, I'm just gonna like, this is bad, but like this feels also good at the same time.
Yeah, totally. I understand that for sure.
So where did your creative journey begin for you? Like, did you start with an education? Did you explore through self-motivated process, or how did that all begin?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been drawn to, drawing and painting and that since I was a little kid. And as I grew older, and it was time to start like finding a career and deciding on what I wanted to do after high school and stuff. I think I knew inside that I would love to go to art school and like that would be something that would be awesome. But I think at the time, that stereotype that you brought up earlier, I think I was influenced by that for sure. Like, well, art is a side thing. You do that on the side. That's never just like your full-time gig. You got to have a real job, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I regret feeling that way because I would have, I think if I just pressed in from even earlier in my life, I would have really found that joy so much earlier. But I went into the Air National Guard, which that was a blessing because it helped me pay for school and gave me some life experiences that I love. But I went into dental assisting, and that was like okay, I have a real job. That's gonna feel more adult. But I always painted along like on the side. It was always something I never let that fall off completely. I always just kept painting. And even while I was in school, I was like kept on being drawn to the art classes, like I would take one art class with all my dental assisting classes. And so I just kind of decided it was going to be this little, side thing. And it wasn't until I became a mom, we had our first son in 2019, and all of a sudden I was at home and I was with him, and I was like, I want painting to be part of my life. And I had some extra time with all of his naps and stuff. So I just started at the time, tiny babies sleep all the time. I just would paint all the time during the day and just kind of started watching Bob Ross videos again that I loved from kidhood. And I was watching, I was like, oh, like this is just getting me, like all the juices flowing. And I saw an online course that I could take from home to kind of just, learn some new techniques, learn how to, just expand my skills. So I started doing that. And then it's just ever since then, it has just slowly evolved. I've just continued to prioritize that as what I really want to do. That's what I really feel passionate about. And just, yeah, it's just been an ever, growing process since then. And so I do have motherhood kind of to thank for kind of, I'm home now, and I'm gonna, I'm not working anymore, and I could really prioritize it, obviously on the side still a little bit with being a mom, but yeah, it's just been a slow journey, and but that's kind of how I like it, because it just, it should be slow, it should be one thing at a time, it should be sucking at something, and then you get to see yourself, improve, and that's part of the beauty of, creativity, is that you get to see that evolution, and I don't know, that's
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, that's so cool. I love hearing about your journey. And not only that, I love that you shouted out to Bob Ross, because we all know who he is, but it's not like anyone watched him anymore to like be like pumped up about
I did. I
painting.
really did. I would be like nursing my son, or, like, feeding my son, and I would be watching, and I'm like, oh, like I gotta try that, and I would put Everett to nap, and just be like, I'm getting, like, I just start trying to do some of the things, and it would just help me, like get back into it and make it like, hey, this is a thing, and yeah, it's so funny that, but
Bob
he's
Ross.
my favorite.
Bob Ross is your favorite. I love it so much.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm just like, she loves Bob Ross.
I do.
I haven't met a recent Bob Ross fan.
You have.
That's so great.
Yeah. Well, and at the time too, we were living up in the woods at the time, and just up in the mountains, and I would go on walks, and I would just
Oh, wow.
soak in the mountains and the trees, and just I felt so inspired all the time by looking around. And I would just study the clouds as I'd walk, because I'd have my baby on my chest. I'd have him in the wrap a lot, and I would just study. How when you look at somebody
Yeah.
from an
Yeah.
artist's perspective, you're just like, how would I do that? And so I would, it was mixed with that as well, because I was loving being outside and just really getting into nature. That was another big boost for me as well.
Yeah. I love the moments of motherhood that allow you the time and space to pause where you wouldn't have before.
Yes.
Right? Like throughout the day, like there's just moments where, like, if you're nursing, you're just forced to sit there. I
Yeah.
never was a phone scroller with nursing, because I just found it, I like way too, just like I couldn't do it. Like it
Mhm.
never worked out with any of them, because they were
Yeah.
all like really big movers
Yeah.
while nursing, which is like, you're like, this is hard. So when people are like, I just play on my phone when I nurse, I was like, how do you do that?
You're like, I'm wrestling a baby at the same time.
Yeah. So no. Yeah. So I would always go to like the dark room. Like, well, no, I didn't. I nursed everywhere,
Yeah.
boobs out everywhere, shocking people left, right, and center. But the like the moments where like you would sit in the dark room with the sound machine were my like absolute favorite, because you're like, this is not gonna last forever. And this is such a short blip in my life, and I just want to like feel their fat hand in mine, and just like squeeze the dimples and rub their fat hands on my cheek. And like, I miss it so much. Like last night, I was just waiting for my son to come out of the bath and read with him, and I was just sitting in that rocking chair, and I was like, oh my gosh, I miss that connection so much.
Yeah.
Because
No, that's
Teddy's
so important.
3 now, and
Yeah.
it's just like those moments where, yeah, you're just walking because like you're here, you just like, I need to do something and move this baby outside in the fresh air, and you're just walking and looking around. And it is, I get how difficult this part of our lives are, but like, it's also there's so many moments that bring you to the present moment. And obviously when you spend time with kids too, they're the best at that, like
We are.
being in the moment, and we're becoming the worst at it.
I know, it's so true. And that's such a cool, like, I love the perspective that you're putting out there, because it can be so hard at moments, but I don't know, if we sit and ponder, if we stay in that negativity for too long, it's so overwhelming, because we have to continue to look at the little blessings that they are, and those little moments, like you said, that you get to just pause where otherwise you'd be busy going. And it's, yeah, you slow down a little bit, but then you start to appreciate those, just, those beautiful moments with your little ones. And the hard stuff is so fleeting. That whole season is fleeting, you know, like I'm right in the midst of it right now, but yeah, you turn around and your kid is not needing you much anymore, you know? So that kind of stuff, it's so important to just stay in that thankful and gratitude just needs to be part of your daily routine because it's a huge blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, we know that. Like we go to the grocery store and like old people stop you and they're
I know.
like, you're gonna miss it.
I know. I get
Because
that.
you're like, I am currently in the grocery store with 3 terrorists. And
That's how, yeah. And you're
I
just like
I
trying
don't
to
think I'm gonna miss this particular part that
I,
we're like witnessing right now, where someone's like called me a fucking bitch because I didn't get them the right cereal.
um,
No, well, okay, so here's this, and I think it's actually very funny, but I can't put it on social media anymore because like the trolls are like, clearly like their dad calls her a freaking bitch. But Teddy will do anything for a laugh, and he like gets really excited and people laugh when he says freaking bitch. I
uh,
don't even know where he got it from because I don't go around saying, like, I throw f bombs out. I'm not gonna say I'm not human, and I do swear, but I don't know where bitch came from.
yeah.
And but he gets a laugh, so when he's excited about something now, he like he looks at me and he's like, freaking bitch, mom.
Oh
I'm
my
just like,
goodness.
I'm like, no, like like I don't even know. Like we've tried ignoring him, we've tried
Yeah.
everything, and it's just like. And then at the hockey game the other day, he went like this. He flipped the bird, double bird to the stands, and the whole stands erupted in laughter. And I was like,
Right.
"This is why
He's
this
like,
is
I'm getting
perpetuated."
reinforced. So
Yes, he's getting reinforced so hard because,
yeah.
like I said, his mission in life is to get a laugh. Like he just loves people, and if he doesn't know someone, he walks up to them and he goes, Teddy. And they're like, hi.
Hi.
Like,
He
yeah,
sounds like quite the character.
yeah. So, but yes, people aren't always the best when it comes to like laughing over. You're like, come on, this is my daily. Like, you gotta laugh because I'll go back to the quote by the Indigo Girls. You gotta laugh because you'll cry your eyes out if you don't.
Well, yeah, and I think it's sometimes, yeah, it's easy for us to just get, like I said earlier, just get to all the negatives and the hard stuff and get just weighed down by that. But like, I don't know, that's no way to live, and I don't think that's how we're called to be as moms. Like, we have to continually fight for the beauty of it. And I think that's another part of creativity is like, we as women, like we create life in our bodies. Like, we create those magical moments for our kids. We are creating the like vibe of our home, and that environment is like, that's part of what we create, and so making sure our mental state, where we are at, spiritually, all of the facets of ourselves, like that's what's facilitating our family life and what kind of like what experience our kids have, like I just love all the different sides of motherhood and being a woman and being able to like create those beautiful things in our homes.
I totally wholeheartedly agree. And for people to like divide them or say it's not as worthy,
Right.
is just like I just fight with every breath to be like, as a mother and as a woman, I have become more empathetic and more full of love and a stronger individual. And that is power. Like
Yeah.
that in artwork is a beautiful power, and it is just as worthy as any other, you know, person's painting anywhere else in the world. I just think it's just such a beautiful thing, and it's such a gift, and I'm so proud of, all of my female friends and women who are pushing forward in the world and working together. I have seen them do amazing things and tackle their dreams even though it was absolutely scary.
Mhm.
Lindsay, who I just had on my podcast hasn't been released yet, but by the time this is out, it'll
Yeah.
probably be out. I always am like, how do I talk about other podcasts? Because I never know when
Yeah.
they're coming out. Because I am creative with the podcast too. I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel like this week we should talk about, ooh, I remember that conversation with this person. So I'll put like, it's like a total whim.
Yeah.
I don't plan them out. It's weekly
Yeah.
inspiration, as in my newsletter. It's
Yeah.
super honest. Like, this is weekly inspiration for me. It's weekly inspiration for my listeners. But she had this huge turning point when she came into motherhood. And she talks about it, and it's not my story to tell, so I won't go into it. But they were really like, they almost lost their first baby, and it was a very, like, it was months of trauma and fighting, and they they moved they moved their whole family from Canada to Belize, like,
Wow.
and her partner and husband were, he was like, they both had, she was in marketing, they both had like solid successful jobs. And she just said, I was crying in the parking lot in the hospital, and I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And
Yeah.
through COVID, they shifted their whole entire lives, and she's taken on her creative self. She was creating to heal through that trauma.
Mhm.
And now she's working, they've built this place, and they're going to do art retreats, and like, it's
Wow.
just like an amazing story. And that's what I mean by, that is power. Like, that is power to me, that they didn't know what they were doing. They overcame that fear, because life is just simply too short.
Yeah, and it's okay to continue to dream and have those things that just light you on fire, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't help but continue to follow this where it may lead. And yeah, I love, like I said earlier, like moms need to hear that. And the more, like, I just pre-ordered a book called Create Anyway by Ashley Gadd, and she
Oh,
it's
write
just been
that down.
so inspiring. It's basically saying like creating in the margins of motherhood, and she has been an inspiration to me as well, just because, yeah, like she talks about all the different ways, like opening your eyes to that creativity is so much bigger than just, like I said earlier, oh, a Pinterest craft, or like those crafty moms who have these perfect little things they do. Like, it's not just that. Like, find your passion for creativity, and it may not look like an artist or like this kind of thing. It may be totally unique to you. And if you are that person who's like, I don't have anything, there's nothing that I don't, not that kind of person. Like, I think you might be, but you just need to press into it and find it. Like, ask your spouse, ask your friends, like, what do you see in me? What I'm trying to find, like, kind of find that part of myself where I can, find that creative outlet. And it's such a huge blessing as you press into that.
So when we talk about that, and that for some people is like huge imposter syndrome, and that never goes
Yeah,
away
it
for
doesn't.
anyone.
It doesn't.
How do you overcome imposter syndrome? What are some ways that you work through that?
So, yeah, you're totally right. Imposter syndrome is real for all of us. I think we all have that. It's just part of being human. I think you have that, like, over analytical of yourself. And for a long time, I wouldn't even feel comfortable calling myself an artist, because, and I'm sure, like, I mean, you've walked that maybe similar thing. Everybody's like, oh, I'm not good enough yet. It's like we have to have some giant achievement to then qualify as an artist, or as a writer or creator, whatever it is. And I just think, like, no, like, if you are creating something, then you are a creator. And if you're creating something out of nothing, you have the ability to say, I am an artist. That's something that I love. And I don't know why there's like that big hurdle for people to be able to just say, like, own that in yourself if that's what you're passionate about. But for me, especially getting more into the social media space, putting my art journey out there, imposter syndrome definitely comes up, and you're just like, well, does anyone want to see this? I'm not even that good. You just start to that snowball of negativity, and self-doubt can be real. So for me, perspective wise, I try to just shift whenever my mind is going that way. I try to just shift into a place of, it's not about what everyone else thinks of my work. That has nothing to do with why I'm here, why I'm showing up. I love to do this. I love to invite people, anybody, whoever may want to see what I'm doing, come along for the ride. There is no, like, this isn't some big, formal thing that we have to feel so stressed out, and then that squishes your creativity of itself when you let yourself go there. But shifting that mindset when you find yourself going down those negative imposter syndrome thoughts of just saying, like, bringing it back to your why, like, why do I do this? Why do I create? Why do I love this? And just rehearsing those things in your mind and reminding yourself that it doesn't need to be about what everyone else thinks of your art. If you're validating your value comes from the likes and the comments, or somebody saying, oh, I love what you're doing. If that's the only place that you're finding that, if that's your why, then that's so shallow. Like, find a deeper why of what truly gets you to pick up the paintbrush or pick up the pen or, do whatever. And just bring it back to the main reason. And for me, I'm a Christian. I want to glorify God in all that I do and emulate the beautiful creation we get to enjoy. And I live in Colorado. I get to look at the mountains. I just want to I want to emulate that as best I can. That is my why. And when I just recenter on that, all of that just kind of fades away, because it's not about impressing other people. It's not about trying to convince them that I deserve to be here. It's about just doing it for the love of doing it. I think nowadays it's like, you better do it and you better be able to make money off of it. Like, what about just doing things because simply you love it, and it doesn't have to be this thing that brings you fame, or you're not making a name for yourself. You're just doing it because you love it. So getting back to basics is really back to your why, back to this doesn't have to be such a big thing that I make, this mountain that I have to climb.
Mm-hmm. It's like those small steps of showing up every day that accumulate to something larger. You don't know what's at play.
I know. Right?
Yeah. And I think a takeaway from that would be stepping away from a device, right?
Yes.
When you're in your head, and like where you live, like, or where anyone lives, they can go on a walk. Yeah. I find like such value in making space and just like going back to nature, because sometimes I just look at the sunset and I'm like, how is this even possible?
I know.
Like, you feel like a little speck on something.
Yes.
Like grander than anything that we can know, feel, or see. And when we connect in nature like that, that is coming back to who we are as humans. I think like we connect on devices, but I think that part of like the feeling of it is lost comparatively to just connecting back to nature and back to yourself.
I totally agree with that.
Like yesterday, I showed up at our art academy, and I was just like, it was so sunny out, and I was like, I don't want to be inside. Like, I don't want to be inside at all right now. And I just took them for a walk.
Yeah. I am the same. Like, sometimes you just need some sun. That's like, you're like, oh, I'm depressed, but no, I just needed some sun.
Yeah, totally.
That's how I feel sometimes, for sure. And the
kids too.
Oh yeah, it's so good for them.
Right?
You're just like, they're like full of like, you're like losing them. You're like, as soon as you go outside, you're like, oh, we're fine.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And that sense of community too, right? Like when you go outside, you see other people. Oh, who I saw on, so I love this woman, and I'm terrible with names, but I love this mom on social media. She always she just basically vents about stuff.
Yeah.
Like for like
life stuff.
For example, like, why are we having our kids in so many extracurriculars? Like, sorry, there's a vacuum on beside me, so I realize I'm yelling now.
You're fine.
I'm just like yelling at the mic. She's just like saying, like, I literally left the playground where my girl was doing, like, she was doing real life gymnastics on the playground and having the time of her life, and I pulled her off the playground to get to gymnastics, which I paid $600 a year for. She's like, it's just like, what are we doing? And I wholeheartedly agree. But not saying my kids aren't in extracurriculars, but like, I think they're fucking ridiculous.
Well, and it's like, it's that simplicity that I think we're missing now. It's like we feel obligated to do so much. It's like, get back to the basics.
It's impossible.
get back to simplicity of like, we don't need all of this stuff in our life that I feel like it's like cluttering up our brain. And yeah, they're just getting outside, the limiting phone time, making sure like that you're really being like present in the moment. I don't know, all that stuff. It's such a big thing for us in our day right now because yeah, we have so many distractions all the time.
It's sad that we consciously have to like really work super hard to do these things. Like it's such a crazy thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
even having trouble at this point with like the way I connect online and with my business and stuff. Like I'm having trouble sitting and drawing. Like I am struggling with just like sitting long enough to draw. Like that is crazy.
Yeah.
Um Considering that's all I used to do, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. And I
all I
think
used to do was just draw and
uh,
paint and like feel those feelings. Although we had lost like I was healing really hard. So I feel like that's almost all I could do at
yeah.
that moment.
Hmm.
That's all I was capable of was
Right.
just like parenthood and creation. Well, they're both in the same, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
it was just like all I could even take on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and now it's just like you kind of get stuck and you're like, oh, I forgot. And I made a video about it on social media because I just like felt so strongly like I forgot that like I haven't drawn for 3 weeks and I forgot that it's the heartbeat of what I do. It's literally why I do everything else.
Yeah.
And I need to work hard to keep it in my life. Which is
Yeah. And
nuts.
yeah, like, and while like sharing your work and all that stuff is important, yeah, like sometimes you get into an art block or just say like I don't feel like doing it, and that's when I feel like there's that reset is needed, like the maybe putting the phone down, getting outside, finding that organic inspiration, like doing a whole piece without even filming it, because that is still an intimate time.
Yeah.
Just that time where you're not having to be interrupted, to, oh, I need to take a video of this or whatever. Like I got to share this because that's part of my marketing. Yes, that's true, but it can't be containing all that you create, because yeah, those moments with like, I don't, some pieces I just don't film at all because I just want to be present. I want to just have that time in the studio. And that is so key for, especially for creatives, because I made a reel about it at one point, was like, if you're creating content and you're creating, that's a lot. Like that's a lot of output. So you have to always be self-assessing and making sure you're not burning yourself out. You're not just creating just to post it for the likes, all that, like remembering where do you find your value, and yeah, just making the time for just you and your art, because there's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Well, where can everyone find you? What's your website and your Instagram? And like, and I encourage everyone to tune in to I love all your feed. I know we just talked about how it's like toxic for creativity, but I feel like it's actually, if we look at it in a positive way, it is another form of creativity. I
It is.
actually enjoy reel making, or
I
I
do.
wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, and just having the real life side of it. There's definitely benefit to it. Yeah, we just talked about finding that balance, but there's a benefit to it, and it's fun to just be able to share that journey with others and find other artists that you're just like, you totally get it. And we can joke about some of the real life stuff of, going through, different parts of our artists' lives. So yeah, I really do love it. But yeah, my
Yeah.
handle is Sunshine and Laurel Art. My middle name is Laurel, so that's where the name came from. And my grandparents called me Sunshine when I was a kid, so I put those two things together, and I was like, "This is my art name." So Sunshine and Laurel Art is my Instagram, and then sunshineandlaurelart.com is my website. You can kind of check out my different art pieces, and yeah, that's kind of where you can find me if you want to follow along on my art journey.
Amazing. Well, thank you for taking the time to come on today. It was super nice to meet you,
Yeah,
and I hope we chat more soon. And yeah, who knows? Who knows where life will lead? So,
I know. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you messaging me, and it's just been a joy to talk to you. So,
alrighty, have an awesome weekend.
yeah, thanks.
Bye. And in our new class coming up, Diversify Your Creative Income, we talk about gratitude and I could not host this podcast. I could not do what I do, connect community, give back to my own community without our partners, Red Bicycle Communications, Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio. Sorry, I just got excited about some way I'm giving back and my brain went doo-doo-doo. I'm very excited about something and I can't say anything about it. So, sorry, that was a weird blip. BioClean Disaster Services. I think that's it for now. If you're interested in supporting us, we love to give back and we love to support our community. So we appreciate any support that we do get. And you can reach out at brandyhofer.ca or any other social media way. All right, I really effed that up, but I got to release this podcast. So stay cool and we'll chat. Stay cool. Yeah, that's what a cool person says. All right, have a great day. And we'll talk to you all probably in the new year. If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.